Ben Jones, Head of Digital at Harrow. We've already had a few mentions this morning to pile the pressure on from Suraj. Thank you for that. So we're going to talk about what we've been doing with the Harrow website and looking at personalisation. But in a bit of a Jadu tradition, we're going to start off by going off at a slight tangent. Those who've been to previous conferences, they can go off in many different directions. But I'd first like just to talk a bit about Harrow and Jadu's relationship. I think we were one of the second or third sites to adopt Jadu back in 2007, and we've been partners with them ever since. We love working with Jadu. We've been through 4 major iterations of harrow.gov.uk. Some of them we're proud of, some of them slightly less proud of as you look at the screen. But the feel of working with Jadu has always been the same. They've always felt a partner, and in the nicest possible way, even when they've got bigger, they've still had that small company mentality where you can speak to people who can actually do things, and they've been on this journey all along with us. Really, there's not much more we could ask from them, really, over the last 16 years, except for them to upgrade Paul's dev environment. That's for you, Paul. So that's enough of the sidetrack, but yeah, we just wanted to say how good a partner Jadu has been with us over the years, and we weren't paid to say this, but it's the honest truth. So just wanted to start, before we get on to actually showing the personalisation and what we've been doing, I wanted to talk a little bit about our digital journey here at Harrow. In some ways, we're very fortunate at Harrow because we have an organisation that has been focused for 10 years on channel shift, moving residents to digital. We have a borough that has high digital take-up. But what's really helped is having an organisation that has fully supported this, from leadership down to chief exec. There were some battles to begin with, but it's fully established that the website is the front door of the council. As you can see from the numbers that we've put up there, we've been very successful with moving people onto the online channels. Even taking out our nearly 3.5 million web visits, we're still 89% of all our transactions are done via self-service and automated channels. We have a well-established citizen account with nearly 750,000 logins, and we have about 170,000 registered users. And we have nearly, again, 750,000 transactions going via our website, whether they're web forms, they're bookings for our recycling centre. And just as a comparison, we have about 500,000 telephone calls answered by people each year. So we've really pushed this hard, this move to digital. We've gone to the point where we've closed some of our telephone channels. You can't call up the council about your missed bins and your fly tipping. You can't call up about planning or education. And the council took this decision that in this time of limited resources, our money was better off trying to spend it on delivering the services than answering the calls about it. It wasn't an easy decision to take, but it's one that we've continued to support and back up. But in a degree, that's given us a bit of pressure in the digital team. When the only channel of choice that you've got is using the website, we've had to make these transactions and the experience of using the website as good as possible. So the first part, carrying on a bit from the introduction from the Scottish Borders earlier, was we've worked very hard in developing a lot of web forms. So we have about 230 unique web forms, all that we've redesigned in the last 3 years. But the challenge was making sure these went somewhere. In the first days of Channel Shift, we'd have a lot of forms that generated PDFs. They went into our contact centre, but when those phones were ringing, no one entered those PDFs into systems. So actually what you ended up with was a 2-tier system where you got a better service by phoning up than going online. So with a very good in-house team, we've built a lot of integrations off these forms, because basically there's no point pushing people to the website if the forms went nowhere. So we're at the point where all of our big forms integrate to our line of business systems and things happen off the back of them. So it's going straight to the frontline services who actually are out there to deliver the services. The second challenge that we've had about this really big push for digital is the user experience. As a council, we think we're competing with our neighbours. We're checking Barnett's website, Brent's website, Hillingdon's website, and see how we're competing with them. Well, I am anyway. They're definitely who I'm competing with. But in our residents' mind, we're being held up against the other transactional services they use, whether it's banks, all the utilities which have really improved their online services over the last 4 or 5 years. And we felt we're starting to fall behind. And I think probably all of us working here in local government know the challenge of trying to deliver 400 odd services through a website. It's very difficult to give equal footing to all of those. So we started to think, how can we make the user experience match what our residents wanted? So what we've come up with is starting to look at personalisation. How can we make that website show the information that our residents are looking for? At Harrow, we spend a lot of time looking at our customer feedback thanks to our user researcher over there, Pauline. So if you've got any questions about this, Pauline's your lady to ask at the lunch break. She spends a lot of time telling us why our residents don't like some of the stuff we've got online. It's quite tough to take at times. But one of the big bits was the more clicks that our residents were taking, the more frustrated and lost they were getting. But there was a glimmer of hope in all of this that increasingly residents were willing to log in. They were willing to give us some parts of information if we would provide them a better service based on that. So that's where we started, both with Jadu and looking internally with our own team about how could we personalise harrow.gov.uk to get residents the information they're looking for as quickly as possible. But the one note we just wanted to make on this is this doesn't get away from getting all the basics of having a good website right first. There's no point having a personalised website with content that doesn't make sense or that isn't well written or directing people to transactions that don't really work. So while we're talking about some of the fancier stuff here, the digital team over there who's sitting at that table there, Jonathan, Tarek, Andrew, make sure that all the content makes sense. So when you actually find what you're looking for, it's answering your questions. And whatever you do, you can't get away from getting all those basics right. Text and content that's easy to read and make sense. They're the nuts and bolts of what we do. And without getting that right, none of this other stuff would work. So we started looking at signals with Jadu about 3 or 4 years ago, and we looked at using the signals framework that will be discussed again later, about how we could use information that was already available to us, like the days of the week, time of the year, to start to personalise what people saw on the website. We used a location signal from people's browsers. We gave people personalised photos on their homepage. So whichever part of Harrow you came from, you got a photo that was relevant to them, to that area. We changed the photos to day and night. We started to use some of the location signals in the website to give you some local services. We have different top tasks on our mobile version compared to our desktop version, again, trying to personalise based on the device you're using. But the real challenge, what residents really wanted was the information that we held in our business systems. They were coming on to get information about their council tax, about what had happened to their bin collections. And our challenge to create a really personalised experience was mining that data and making it accessible through the website. One of the things that we've always found holding us back was often the third-party portals available from our line of business system vendors. It was always felt like they were a bolt-on to the main product, which was for staff, and they were never going to deliver the user experience that we wanted, and we'd never have control of the customer journey that we hoped for. So I'm going to show you a few videos now. Some of them are live on our website now, so you can go and test them yourselves and check that I'm not talking rubbish. There's some stuff from our development environment, and hopefully at the end we'll show you where we want to go with all of this. So this is live on our website now. You come onto our bins homepage. So this is held within the Jadu CMS. You enter your address using the LLPG. About to see Tarek's mum's bin collections. So this, at this point now, is pulling back data live from Bartek, so our excellent bin collection system. From the in-cab devices, the information is displayed here. We take a judgment on, this opens on different tabs depending when your collection day is. Because in this case, the collection day is this particular day, we open on this week because we judge as a customer you're coming in to see when your bin collection day is for this week. All of these open up. We're trying to get as much in this widget as possible so you're not having to click off to other parts of the website. If you go on to last week, this is about the status is your bin collections that's already happened. So this data, again, is pulled live from Bartek, and it will inform you whether your bin was picked up last week. If it wasn't picked up, it will give you the reason why. So if it's contaminated, we won't allow you to report it as missed. Again, as we flick through here, we go over to garden waste. We were getting lots of contact about information about garden waste. If you subscribe to the service, you'd expect to be able to see your details of it. Again, this is pulled live from Bartek. So we pull up a summary of your garden waste schedule and collection. Through to making a booking, you can book your recycling centre through here. And then finally, the one extra thing that we added in here was being able to download all your bin collection dates to your iCalendar or your mobile calendar, so that whenever the day before your bin collection, you'll get a push notification on your phone saying which bin needs to go out and at what time, and it saves me running up and down the road trying to see what our neighbours have put out. So that's live on our website now. The next thing we went for was the PCN widget, which is our second most used transaction on the website. Again, following Pauline's lead on customer feedback, people just wanted to come and do this as quickly as possible and get away from the website. So you come on, you enter your reg number, we look up any tickets that you've got on the system. Oh no, and Tarek's mum has got another parking ticket. So again, rather than taking people off to the third party or through our web forms, we show all of this within the Jadu CMS. So it's really one click away from the homepage. You're straight into the transaction. You can see through all these photos that Tarek's mum was banged to rights with a dodgy parking. And you have the choice to either pay in a big button or challenge your PCN there. And again, it's that speed of getting through this transaction as quickly as possible and hopefully forgetting about the parking ticket you've got. So these are live on the website now, but our next step is our next step was to see how we could personalise content. So this is for our bulky waste system. Come to a page in the Jadu CMS, all well developed by our superstar developer Paul over there. Sign in, again through our authentication provider. And what it does is it personalises that content on the page. So we take the signal from you being logged in, we put your name in, and we can start to change the content based on what we know about you. This is almost a test of stuff we wanted to roll out further across the website over the next 6 months. So this has been, referred to earlier, this is probably our most complicated development so far. We've been implementing a new housing system, and the third-party application we were offered was, the customer experience on it just wasn't up to standard, and we were really worried about putting this on the website. So with a lot of user research and a lot of development time, we've been putting all our housing information into the website as well. Can't really underestimate the complexity that sat behind doing this for a year and a half. It's lost, Laura will explain some of the pain over there, but it's been a bit of a labour of love to get this working. So again, we call live into Civica CX to pull back this different information from the system. Click on My Tenancy, it'll pull back your tenancy information. Again, My Household will pull back the people in your property and also allow that follow-on transaction of reporting a change. And finally, you can open up your housing officers, contact through theirs. Again, it's not just pulling back the information from the systems, it's then trying to build the follow-on transaction that goes with it. So it's part getting the information, part is the design work to understand what a customer is looking for. Then those who know housing, the two questions you get asked about by far the most is either payment and rents. So again, here we're putting back your account summary with your payment history, explaining when stuff goes in. And the most popular of all, as we go across to it, is repairs. So about 50% of all our calls into the contact centre is repairs. We took the decision, we wanted to keep our residents on the widget. Rather than taking them off to forms, we built the repairs functionality into the widget on the website. So again, drop downs, you select what you're looking for, and then we try and set the expectations of the resident at the bottom by saying whether it's going to a surveyor, whether it goes direct to the contractor. Again, it's just trying to keep the resident informed on what happens next. So the housing portal will be going live in the next couple of months, but it's all a stepping stone for where we really want to see harrow.gov.uk going. So this is our concept at the moment, but it's what we're working to of an always logged in website. So before the end of the year, we want to switch harrow.gov.uk to a website that, like lots of commercial websites, where we get you to log in as soon as you come to the page. But what we have to do to keep that trust with the resident is offer enough value in return. So we're not going to ask you to log in if we don't kind of do anything in return for you. So hopefully the concept here will show, we'll get you to log in. We're taking control of the login screen as well. So rather than using Capita, who are our authentication provider, we still use them in the background, but we're going to control the look and feel and the user journey of it. Have you sign in. You can see it starts to personalize the services across your home page. It has you logged in to these different tabs. So as you go around the website, you're starting to see the personalized information on each of the pages. Again, you see your housing service in here. But the big change we're going for, and the challenge, is we want to create an account summary. What our residents are increasingly expecting is that ability to track and see what's happened to their service requests. And in Harrow, we refer to it as aftercare, and it's often when we look at our customer satisfaction, people are happy doing the transactions, they're happy with the experience, but where they lose trust and faith in the council is what happens afterwards. What happens when it's handed off to the service? How do they keep track of what they've asked us to do? So this will be added to our banner at the top of the page, and it'll follow you around the website. You can scroll it down on any page, and you'll be able to see both a summary of your accounts and a summary of your transactions with follow-on actions. And this won't just be one page on the website, it will follow you around so you can access this at any point. So I'm just going to show you what else we're going to do. So when you sign in on some of the content pages, as the demo will show here, we'll then start to personalize the content on the content pages. And this won't happen overnight. As you can see, the fly tipping tracking comes in there, and it opens up a big world of opportunities across all the different services to start to really get residents the information they're looking for without them having to go searching through pages and pages for it. And so you can imagine the challenge that sits behind this is integrating off to all the line of business systems to pull these statuses back. But it's something we're confident that we'll achieve by April next year with the help of other partners and Jadu, because they've been on the journey with us for all of this. So just don't worry, I put the detail in small print deliberately. So this is Laura's road to personalisation. We've covered some of the stuff that's on here, our housing systems, but over the next year, we'll be integrating our planning system, our licensing system, public protection system, our revs and bends data all in so that you can get sample bits of that on the website. So by the time we implement the login to the website by turns out, according to Laura's plan, it is after April next year, well adjusted. So after April next year, you'll be able to come to harrow.gov.uk, log in, and all that data from the line of business systems will start to feed into the website with the aim of making it much easier to find what you're looking for, because sometimes you get lost in the technical work of all of this, but it's all driven around the customer of making the website as easy to use and information as easy to find as possible. So it's a lot of work, but we're already thinking about what's next, and we've touched on bits of this. We'll really start to drive the location-based personalisation, which will be mixed with not just knowing your physical location, but the services you're interested in. Start to personalise news and content. I think we'll know that people glaze over a bit at council news, but we'll be able to really target people with things they're most likely to be interested in. And then eventually, hopefully, start to be a bit more proactive with our service delivery, whether it's reminding you in advance that your parking permit's expiring and prompting you to sign up, to things that probably have a bigger and deeper impact, like starting to potentially push advice out to people who are starting to fall into debt, and people in the early signs of struggling, like a potentially big risk of homelessness. If you can see some of those early signs, we'll be able to push more information and content out to them. But that is me, that's a summary of it. We'll be around at lunchtime. If you want the glossy bit, speak to me at lunchtime. But if you want the real story, speak to any of the Harrow team over there. And hopefully, the more other Jadu customers we can get on the journey with us, the more we can share the learning and experience of this. So, yeah, if anyone else is interested in this, please give us a shout at lunchtime. But thank you for your time.